Did you take that photograph?
Yes, I did.
And why did you take that photograph?
This photograph is of the prop truck that was at our initial scene.
Did you say, is this a truck?
Or, I apologize, a prop cart at our initial scene.
Do you know what a prop cart is used for on the movie set?
My understanding was that it was a cart that had some props on it.
Do you know whether or not those props included real guns?
I do not.
Still today, you don't know?
The firearms that are visible on this, one is a plastic gun and the other is a firearm that has a blocked cylinder. So it's not a loadable gun. So they're not usable firearms.
Understood. Can you, if you recall, did you collect real firearms from the set of Rust?
Yes.
How many real firearms did you collect from the set of Rust?
There was one firearm that was taken on the initial scene.
But when you continued your searching, when you indicated you searched the prop truck, is that right?
Yes.
So let me back up. The initial real firearm that you took, where was it when you first saw it? And do we have number 6? What happened to the item of evidence? He's got it. Okay, I'm sorry. Ms. Popple, this is State's Exhibit 6, and it has previously been admitted into evidence. So if you would open it. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
What is that?
This is the firearm that was taken out of Lieutenant Benavidez's vehicle.
And what did you do with it?
I photographed this item and then collected it, took it back to my office where it was photographed in more detail.
And then what did you do with it?
It was submitted to the FBI for analysis.
And why did you submit it to the FBI for analysis? What kind of analysis?
I believe that we were requesting DNA, latent prints, and firearms testing on it.
DNA, you said latent prints?
Yes.
For those folks that aren't involved in law enforcement, what does latent prints mean?
So your fingerprints leave behind oils and waters on surfaces, which are then referred to as latent, meaning invisible. So we have your fingers leaving behind invisible fingerprints.
And what was the other analysis that you asked the FBI?
The firearms functioning test.
And why would you ask the FBI to perform a firearms functioning test?
We wanted to make sure that the firearm was in proper working order.
From the time that you collected that from Lieutenant Benavidez's patrol unit to the time that it was sent to the FBI, where was it kept?
It was first secured in my office and then submitted into our evidence vault.
And when you say vault, does that mean that it's secure?
Yes.
And how long was it kept in the vault before it was sent to the FBI, if you recall?
I don't recall exactly. I would say it was within that week that it was sent out.
And when we send items of evidence to the FBI, how do you do that? Do you just throw them in a box and put them in the mail?
No. A formal request was made to the FBI lab, and then they had an agent respond and take custody of the items.
Who was that agent?
I believe that was Agent Cortez.
So does Agent Cortez come to the Sheriff's Department and take the items?
Yes.
Okay. And then at some point, do you get the items back?
Yes.
And do you recall when you got these items back?
I do not.
Okay. Were they away from the sheriff's department and at the FBI for a considerable amount of time?
Yes.
And I apologize, I have been corrected. I thought that State's Exhibit 6 had already been admitted into evidence, but I've been notified that it hasn't been, so I would like to move it into evidence.
I'm pretty sure it has been admitted into evidence. It is,
She didn't move it.
no, she didn't. It's 57813. Yeah. You did not move it in.
Okay. I'd like to go ahead and move it into evidence at this time.
No objection.
All right, State 6 is admitted. You may publish.
When you sent this firearm to the FBI, did it appear intact?
Yes.
At some point, did you receive it back from the FBI?
Yes.
Had its condition changed?
Yes.
Describe just generally, when you opened the box, what had changed about its condition?
The cylinder of the firearm had been removed and placed separately, and there appears to be an internal component that was bagged in a small plastic bag separate from the firearm.
Okay, and may I approach? I just want to, I haven't actually seen what's in the box.
Yes.
I think that maybe what I'd like to do is have it moved to the elbow. Can I move it, or does someone else have to do that?
You want to get the whole package?
Let's open it and set it right there so that the jury can see what we've been looking at and talking about as best we can. Thank you, sir. Just to be clear, this is the same firearm that you collected from Lieutenant Benavidez' patrol unit?
Yes.
And is this generally the condition that it was in when you received it back from the FBI?
Yes.
I see that there's a little plastic bag. Can you tell us what's in that plastic bag?
So there are 3 small metal broken pieces in the plastic bag.
Okay. But other than those broken pieces, was the firearm in generally the same condition?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. And does this stay at the courthouse overnight?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you can
If you
sit
want
back there
to.
with it or...
Okay.
We leave it here.
Yeah.
We'll secure it.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. I want to go back to State's Exhibit 7 if we can. This cart, did you go through the items that were on it?
Yes.
And did you photograph them?
Yes.
Can you give the jury an idea of what's on that cart? Because it's kind of hard to see everything.
There were multiple boxes of ammunition on the bottom section of the cart, bags, the fake firearms, gun belts with ammunition, earplugs, candy, a fanny pack with ammunition inside, just a multitude of items.
Did that cart, did those items appear to be in any discernible order?
No.
Was there loose ammunition on the cart?
Yes.
And did you collect that?
Yes.
And when you collected that ammunition, did you take it back to the sheriff's office?
Yes.
And what did you do with it when you got it back there?
It was then laid out and photographed.
Now, is this the first time that you've been called to an investigation on a movie set?
Yes.
And have you learned, based on your work on this case, what a dummy round is?
Yes.
Can you explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a dummy round is?
A dummy round is essentially ammunition that is not designed to fire a projectile. It is ammunition that's made distinct by either a hole being drilled through the side of it, so it's obvious that there's no gunpowder inside. The primer has been removed so that it can't be fired, so it makes it obvious that it's a dummy round.
And I'm going to stop you real quick. I want you to explain to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you mean when you say primer.
The primer is the base of the round, so it's the small circle that the firing pin hits. So since that's removed, there's nothing there for the firing pin to hit and project that projectile. The dummy rounds are also indicated by, if you shake them, they make a rattle sound. Instead of having gunpowder inside, they have ball bearings inside so that you can shake them and know that they're not live ammunition.
So you just kind of went through some of the distinguishing characteristics of dummy rounds. Would a dummy round have all three of those distinguishing characteristics?
No, it could have 2 out of the 3, but I haven't run into any that have had all 3.
So approximately how many dummy rounds did you end up taking into evidence?
Specifically, that were dummy rounds, I think we have 50. I might be mistaken about that. I apologize. I'm not sure of the exact number of dummy rounds that we have.
And let me just ask you this. You talked about how a round may have a ball bearing in it. Is that right?
Correct.
Would that dummy round that has the ball bearing in it, would that also have a hole in the side?
No, because then the ball bearings would fall out.
Okay. So do the dummy rounds either have a hole in the side or a ball bearing?
Correct.
And based on your work on this case, how would someone know that the dummy round with the ball bearing in it is actually inert?
They would shake it and it would make a rattle noise.
Okay. And did many of the dummy rounds that you took to the sheriff's department make those noises?
Yes.
Did you also collect any other kind of ammunition from the movie set? Any other types?
Yes.
What other types of ammunition?
It's a type of ammunition that's referred to as a blank.
And can you describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury generally what a blank is?
So a blank is a round of ammunition that has gunpowder in it. However, it does not have a projectile head on the top. So it has a crimped end, kind of like you would see a dumpling have crimps. And that way there's nothing for that gunpowder to project out the barrel of the gun.
And when you collected all of this ammunition, you took it back to the sheriff's department.
Yes.
And at some point, did you examine closely all of the ammunition?
Yes.
And did you develop any suspicions?
Yes.
What suspicions did you develop?
There were several rounds that, when shaken, did not make the rattle noise, and they all had a silver in color primer at the end instead of a brass colored primer.
And did the primer appear to be intact?
Yes.
And did those have a hole in the side?
No.
You indicated that you had some suspicions about them. What was your suspicion?
My suspicion was that they were live rounds.
And what did you do with those live rounds, or suspected live rounds, rather?
They were sent to the FBI for testing to see if they were live rounds or not.
So you didn't take them apart there at the sheriff's department?
No, I did not.
Can you describe to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what a casing is, or a spent casing?
Once a live round is used in a firearm, the casing is what was encasing that round. So in a regular firearm is what would be ejected out of it, out the side. In a case of a revolver, it's what's left in the cylinder. So the projectile has come out of the firearm, and the casing is what's left behind.
Did you collect any spent casings from this scene?
Yes.
How many did you collect from the initial scene?
1.
I'm going to show you what has been, I believe, previously admitted into evidence as State's Exhibit 10. Is that a photograph that you took?
Yes.
Let me make it, there we go. And can you tell us what we're looking at?
Yes, this is a close-up image of the top of the cart. There was a spent casing on top of the cart, which is what we see up top here, where it has no projectile head on the end. And then there was another round next to it.
Let me move this. As you sit here today, do you recall whether that round was the one that we're looking at that appears intact? Was that a dummy round or a live round?
That was a dummy round.